Okay, we appreciate Brad Fay sticking with us. Rogers Sportsnet. The guys told me, Brad, that we were going to talk about BC TV stuff. I said, I'm not talking about that. I remember, Brad, when I first laid eyes on you, coming through with the Kelowna, was it Daily Courier? Was that the name of the paper covering the Rockets like 100 years ago?
It was indeed, and I was also the color commentator for the games with Rick Ball, now celebrated with the Flames on Sportsnet. So that goes way back, early to mid-'90s, I guess.
That's what I thought. And I brought you on to talk about a lot of things. I want to get to the Raptors, but can you imagine, like, just tell the people about the times, kids, that newspapers sent reporters on the road with junior hockey teams. Can you believe that, Brad?
It's unreal. And we had a real sort of forward-thinking sports editor. At one point, we had 4 full-time sports reporters at a paper of that size, and we split the hockey beat. Someone did the junior football beat, which was huge, obviously, with the Okanagan Sun. There was the editor, and then the other guy handled all the minor sports and high school and stuff like that. So it's amazing to think that way. And then, traveling on the road. That was the big introduction when I got to Sportsnet. The first trip I took, the hotel was a little different than what I'd stayed in somewhere along the lines in Brandon and Moose Jaw and the rest of them. Just as fun, but I thought, I'll have a roommate. It'll be a Motel 6, and sure enough, it wasn't.
Are you an original Kelowna guy? Is that what you list as your hometown, by the way?
No, Vancouver. And but I did go to Kelowna every summer. My family went for 36 years, right through the time that I was working there. So I knew it very well. But that was just, first job was Campbell River, BC, newspaper and radio. And then I went to Kelowna, and that's where it all kind of started. But born and raised in Vancouver, school in Calgary. So I covered a lot of Western Canada.
Gotcha. Well, Kelowna is such an awesome area,
sure
not just the city. Yeah, no kidding. So to, I guess, the important stuff, although I could go down memory lane with you for a long time, but Kendrick Perkins today picks the Raptors to win the East Conference. Do you go along with that?
Well, Barkley said it a couple of weeks ago, too. I think there's merit in that. I think it's obviously Milwaukee and Boston have a lot to say about it. But I will say this, with the whole setup for the Raptors, you don't wish anything like this on anything in sports, but this is the reality we're in. They are way deeper than almost any team there, including the Lakers and the Clippers, who are so, focused on those two guys, and nobody has better pairs than those two teams do. But they can withstand. There's going to be injuries. Take away the whole COVID stuff and the possibility of positive tests, which we hope don't happen at all. But beyond that, there's going to be injuries because these guys have been off for so long. We know how it is, 0 to 120 overnight. They played all year without a healthy roster. Their top 6 guys each missed at least 10 games. So they're built for this, and they're way, way better than people think they are without Kawhi, but they also have that chip on the shoulder, which I think really works in the favor of any group that's trying to prove we weren't all just about that guy last year, although he was pretty good.
Yeah, well, no kidding. And by the way, I've been watching a lot of baseball, and the analysts are saying, look at Clayton Kershaw, couldn't make the opening night. Bo Bichette didn't play last night. He was hurt. Fred Van Vliet didn't finish the game on Sunday, right, for the Raps. And what's the update on Fred?
He practiced Monday, so I would assume that he won't play tonight, given that it's the last scrimmage. There's no need for it. But the fact that he practiced full practice on Monday tells me that he's fine. I think they're going to be extra cautious with these kind of things. But funny to think that what a story. He's just so part and parcel to what the Raptors have done the last few years. An undrafted guy, to think that he would be someone would be talking about of such great importance to them. But he is, and that's what that team is like top to bottom now without Kawhi Leonard.
Kind of a heart and soul guy, obviously. But let me ask you this, Brad. Rich Sutter was with us last hour, and we just said with the Stanley Cup playoffs, I said, what do you think it'll come down to? And he said, nothing's changed. Who wants it more? That's in the NHL. Do you believe injuries aside, the NBA is kind of the same story?
I want to ask you first with Rich, because I did a little bit of hockey. I work with him. Did he refer to any of his brothers as Brother Ron or Brother Daryl? Did he say that at all during the interview?
Today?
I love
no.
Yeah, not today. I just love listening to him. He goes, Brother Daryl tells me this guy. I just love it. I go, I think I'll probably figure out who you're talking about. You say Daryl with all the keep
It's
track
like an episode of the Waltons or Newhart. One of the every time you talk to Rich. Anyways, continue.
Yeah,
sorry.
Right. Anyway, no problem. No, I think because this people are, the one comparison I made when this all was announced, this plan to come back, and everybody, there's still the naysayers out there, and they'll continue. They'll say, I won't watch, and they probably will do it quietly, but it's like, oh, it's not the same without fans and everything else. First off, you think of those World Juniors in the 1990s when Canada went on its run, winning all of them, when it really came to be this national tournament for our country. Half those tournaments were played in Europe when they won the gold medal. There was no one in the stands, and everybody across the country was going crazy, watching, jumping up and down, whatever time of day it was where you were. So that takes that out of it. And it shows you that the players want to beat the guy in front of them. And I think who wants it more is a good way to put it. Because I even watching the scrimmages, I was amazed. You get that kind of buzz. I was, saying nervous sounds funny, but it's sort of like going into the first scrimmage. I thought, what's it going to look like? And halfway through the first quarter, I thought, this is what it's going to look like. And it's the same as it always was. These guys have nothing but, the inner desire to beat the guy in front of them and be the best in their craft, to be like going back playing high school tournaments when nobody was watching. So it'll take over pretty quick. And I agree with that. I think the people that are committed and want it more, and that comes down to the coaching staff, the way it's set up, and that puts the Raptors in a good place. They're not the only team, but this is a group that likes each other and really has something to prove and is anxious to try and do it.
So, Brad, not sure if you know, but one of the feathers in our cap of the success of the program has been the interaction of the viewers. So we got a lot of comments coming in, by the way, and one is from Matt Baker, BC Lions. Will Brad wear his BC TV hat on the Broadcasting Hall of Fame plaque? Is there an inside joke there?
I don't know, but that's the plaque is something to think about. BCTV. I don't even know if I still have a hat from those days. I wasn't there that long, but that was, I was there 97 and half in 98. I don't have a hat, but who knows? Where coming? That's the hometown station. It's sports that have been since day one. So if they ever did that kind of thing, like I'd ever be in a Hall of Fame, but I would up in my own house, I'd put it on for that way.
Hey, I want
behind Springsteen over here.
Right. Well, I want to go back to the Raptors in a second, but I'll tell you what. So are you a Canucks fan? Do you admit that? You are? Okay. So a lot of people are picking the Vancouver Canucks as their Western Conference dark horses. Richie Sutter just did, and Craig Button did last week. He kind of called for a 1994 Stanley Cup rematch. Rangers in the East, Vancouver in the West. Are you all in on the Canucks' chances of maybe going the furthest here?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd go that far yet. I like the group finally that they have that young core, 4 or 5 really good young players to build around. And this to me is, there's always that argument, would you rather lose and be the, have a chance at that first overall pick? I think it's time for this group to win, start winning some series and take it. I heard that the great Paul Hendrick just before I came on talking about that with the Leafs, that it's time to make that process happen. So I don't know if I'd go that far, but I also know with the youth and the excitement, the way that they play, that maybe they are one of those teams to keep an eye on in that regard. But is it tough to handicap anything, especially in the NHL.
Yeah, no kidding. Last one for you, Brad, is just a fun one. Now, we are all watching the Raptors run. My kids all played basketball. We're kind of a basketball family. For sure, the females in the house are. My wife played. And so we're seeing you cover the Raptors on the road through the whole thing. What was it like, Brad, just being in the eye of the hurricane in your role? Man, what was it like?
Yeah. It was unbelievable. So 2 things. One, I always said the Vancouver Olympics, I got to host my hometown, home country Olympics and network. Everything has to come together. I said nothing would ever touch that. And I always would say with the caveat, I hope something does. And it did last year, blew by it. Because of that length of time, as you said, and people forget, not only did they win and bring this country the first major championship in a long, long time, but it was the way they won. Games were never over other than the game 5 when they clinched against Orlando. Every night was right down to the wire. It was the country built with the audience as it went. Obviously, the shot with Kawhi. There were so many moments where you counted them out. And then the other thing for me that's important, because I have 2 young boys, it's the only Toronto team I can cheer for. And I think people know what it's like when you move. I'll never cheer for the Leafs, never cheer for the Argos, because I just hated them too much as a Vancouver kid. And the Blue Jays, baseball is not quite my cup of tea. I enjoy when they play well, but I'm not a diehard guy. The Raptors are the one team that I can cheer for with my family. And obviously I wasn't with them. I was at the games, but still to hear the reaction and see it, it was unbelievable. It really is. There's nothing like a championship run and it was 65 straight days for me. So being inside the gates, the days of the games and the days after and before the games are just as exciting when you're involved in that kind of thing. And it was long. It was a marathon, but it was a blast.
Well, we watched every game, and your coverage, Brad, you nailed it, which I knew that you would. But I've been following you for a long time, since those days in the press box at the Agrodome and even out in Kelowna. So appreciate the time today, Brad. Glad to catch up. This has been fun. Keep it up, my friend. Here's hoping you're back in studio soon.
Yes, Saturday night, Raptors game 1. You'll see me there.
Oh, perfect. All right. Thanks, Brad.
Yes. Thank you, Rod.
Brad Fay, Rogers Sportsnet, checking us out from his home office, it appears.
Yeah, big Springsteen fan.
Coolest part of the pandemic is seeing what these guys have in their homes.
It's big time. I think that's really cool. I love seeing it, And Rash has been really good for that with all the memorabilia, pulling it out. But it's good to see, the guys with their home offices. I love that.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.